There were a lot of heavy metal bands in the 80s. The LA scene especially seemed to be producing hundreds of them every minute. But Motley were the original savages. They kick-started the whole scene and they had by far the biggest influence and success. That's not to say that other bands didn't contribute a lot. Red, for example, was extremely prominent too. But no other LA band had the longevity and staying power of Motley Crue.
World Tour 85, August 7th at Pittsburgh Civic Arena.
Because Motley Crue were so over the top and without control, their music felt much more real. They weren't just singing about imagery topics or pulling things out of their asses, they were actually living it. When a song talked about drug abuse, depression, or serial womanizing, you knew these guys were writing from the heart and expressing their personal experiences. Red is one of the most iconic and legendary 80s metal bands. They had a unique sound that combined all of the party elements from the glam scene with a much more raw sound. Despite looking like most hair metal bands at the time, with loads of hairspray and spandex, they were actually a much more complex band that managed to write some of the most amazing bangers in heavy metal history, even unintentionally crossing the line into thrash metal.
Satisfy your craving for Rat with their new album Invasion of Your Privacy and Rat the Video. You'll never go hungry again. You know you really want to lay it down right now.
Oh, yeah. Now, what have you been doing since you arrived in London?
Drinking.
And
we flew in yesterday, and boy, our arms tired.
Once Red broke into the mainstream, they started releasing one kick-ass album after the other. Their sound did change somewhat in the sense that they embraced the glam metal scene that they helped to create and shape. Their songs became more TV and radio friendly, and this of course came with all the benefits that all 80s rock bands dreamed of. They got to tour the world, sleep with loads of groupies, indulge in drugs and rock and roll. But despite going mainstream, they still kept to their roots. Albums such as Out of the Cellar, Dancing Undercover, or Invasion of Your Privacy don't sound drastically different from the EP. Sure, the thrash and punk vibes might be gone, but they still retain their raw feeling. Which is in part due to Stephen Pearcy's unique voice and singing style. I mean, his voice is pure heavy metal and rock and roll. Red was a band that enjoyed the spotlight and all the benefits that came with it, but they never really cared about being too flashy or over the top. I mean, sure, watching the music videos, you can see that they definitely didn't shy away from being over the top, especially when Warren breaks through the ceiling and round to deliver a badass solo. The same can be said for Round and Round or I'm Insane. In fact, I'm Insane is actually an extremely underrated Red song and deserves way more love and attention. It's heavy and raw, and Steven's voice has an incredible range and sound here. This is heavy metal at its finest.
music so alive, it's a concert in your car.
From Walt Disney Pictures, it's time for magic. It's time for excitement. It's time for Cinderella.
Cinderella has always been one of those bands that people don't give enough credit to. They usually get lumped in with all the other glam metal acts from the 80s, despite being extremely underrated, and I think that does them a disservice. I mean, sure, they had the hair and the look that fit the scene, but the music had a lot more going on than just the gloss. They mixed in blues, grit, and the kind of soul that made their records stand out. Cinderella really did embrace the glam look of the 80s. I mean, not only did they have this extremely colorful look and style, but they also adopted the name of an actual Disney princess. They were basically the ultimate evolution of a hair metal band of the time. But this extremely glossy look was only a facade, because behind all of the makeup and hairspray was actually a badass heavy metal band. Their riffs were just as hard as those of Motley Crue, but also mixed with a lot of blues and soul, while Tom Kiefer's voice made you want to violently bang your head. What I love so much about Cinderella is how they always felt like an exception to the rule within the genre. I mean, I'm a massive hair metal fan, but even I admit that the genre became extremely oversaturated and almost a parody of itself pretty quickly. Every band wanted more hair, more makeup, and more shredding until things started to get way over the top within a genre that, by its very nature, was already pretty wild and over the top. Cinderella was different because they never really leaned into this out of control behavior and culture. Sure, they also got the girls, and I'm sure they had their fair share of parties, but they didn't glorify or sing about it all the time like Motley Crue or Poison. A song like Shake Me is pure 80s rock energy, the kind of track that makes you picture neon lights and packed clubs. But then you've got Nobody's Fool, which shows a more emotional side along with some power ballads that might be some of the best ever written.
Hi, this is Paul Stanley, and guess who I'm spending tonight with? I'm spending tonight with you. I'm gonna have videos from Kiss, Scorpions, Iron Maiden new video, Motley Crue, what more could you want? On MTV's Heavy Metal Mania. I'm hosting with all my girlfriends, and we're coming looking for you. 10 p.m., 9 Central. Be there.
Kiss is a great example because these guys were already doing it for almost a decade before hair metal blew up. Kiss was massive in the 70s and they had a huge impact on the genre, not to mention their strong influence on Motley Crue, who cite them as one of their biggest influences. While Kiss didn't invent glam metal, they were by far the most influential and impactful glam band, even outperforming and outshining musicians such as the New York Dolls or T-Rex, which was mainly because Kiss knew how to market themselves and make a lasting impression. Their shows were unforgettable, with lots of energy that perfectly matched their demonic and alien-like outfits. And it's easy to see why they had such a strong impact on hair metal and hair metal bands.
Asylum, the new Kiss album. Accept no imitations.
Available at all Tape World and Record Town locations for $6.99.
Yes, the Paul Stanley workout tape for dirty minds and clean bodies. I will show you how to get the body you always wanted and the woman it belongs to. Yes, the Paul Stanley exercise tape. Join me, won't you?
The Paul Stanley workout tape, available where better videos are sold.
Because a muscle is a terrible thing to waste.
Hey man, don't be squirting water at me. I'm gonna f your girlfriend, pal. Everybody out!
Van Halen always introduced themselves with a massive bang. I mean, these guys had some of the most energetic and amazing live shows back in the late 70s and early 80s. Eddie dominated by shredding so hard it would blow your mind off, and David Lee Roth would be showered with bras and panties anytime he showed off his moves by jumping and spinning like no one else. The 80s wouldn't have sounded the same without them. They were a bridge between the guitar-driven rock of the 70s and the glossier, arena-sized sound that came after. Bands learned from them and tried to steal their sound, but few could get it right. Van Halen made it look effortless, but it was built on hours of playing, experimenting, and pushing each other to a coke-fueled limit.
Well, you know, people got on our case. They said, "You're victimizing women. That's a very sexist attitude." I said, "That's no women." And it wasn't. He was just dressed that way.
Leave me alone. It's me against the world. Against the world.
Dokken is one of the most iconic heavy metal bands. They were really big in the 80s and managed to create some of the best metal albums and songs of that decade. Don Dokken's singing was special and unique in a way that deserves way more praise, especially since it influenced the power metal genre, but also served as an interesting alternative to a lot of the glam metal bands at the time, who either had very high-pitched voices or were going for a rougher sound. Dokken has always been one of my favorite metal bands from the 80s and in general. I have always preferred music where the singer is able to sing clean and melodic, which is why bands such as Iron Maiden, Judas Priest or Queensryche are among those that I have listened to the most. To me, it really seems like there's really only two reasons as to why Dokken never reached the heights and potential they had. Mainly the feud between Don Dokken and George Lynch, as well as their middle-of-the-road presentation and appeal. That's of course not to say that Dokken was not wild or did not engage in all of the vices and fun that the other bands had. I mean, their drummer was literally called Wild Mick, and half these guys were almost always coked out of their minds and banging groupies. They were snoring lines of cocaine with Freddy Krueger himself during the filming of the music video to The Dream Warriors.
There's no waking up from this nightmare. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors.
Despite looking like just another glam or Sunset Strip band, these guys were not glam at all, at least on their sound. They were a classic heavy metal and hard rock band that had some albums and tracks that go pretty hard and are pure headbangers. To me, it also seems like they have always been one of the most underrated bands. I mean, sure, they did have a lot of commercial success and they were pretty big, but it still seems like they never reached their full potential. I mean, George Lynch was a beast on the guitar and a masterful shredder, not to mention that he had great stage presence and charisma, just like the rest of the band. He's one of those guitar players that feels really underrated in my opinion.
Paradise, she lied upon